is good, YouTube? It's STORMYBMAN, and I am back. Welcome to the post-fight show for this Saturday, September 19th, 2020. This is the post-fight show for the Lubin versus Gautier fight card on SHOWTIME. We kind of extended the wait for this till the Pedraza and Molina fight ended, so we can include covering that fight as well. And with no further ado, we're going to get right into things, because as you know, the evening is getting late. So I'm going to go ahead and bring in my partner here, Boxing Conversations with Reggie Owens, and we're going to talk about the fight cards from this evening. What's going on with you, Reggie? How you doing, bro?
Man, doing good, man. Ready to go over this recap of these fights.
Yeah, man, absolutely, man. Absolutely. It's funny because, you know, they keep doing this to us. They put these cards out here that's overlapping, you know, and that's not cool, you know, because we'll watch them. If they put some on earlier, we'll watch them earlier. They have some on for later, we'll watch those as well. But when they put the cards where they cross over and everything, that's really insensitive to the viewing audience. I mean, I, for one, you know, I like to raise a stake against that kind of bull crap, because that's what keeps boxing, you know, in the garbage can as far as consideration. I mean, you look at the NFL, they'll have a game, you know, for the NFC around noon, and have a AFC game in the afternoon or something, or later evening. You know what I mean? So I hate when they do that, man, when they cross us up with these fight cards. What are your thoughts on that before we get into the fight cards themselves?
Yeah, I just like it as well, but it's the two promotional companies trying to compete with each other. I don't know if this Bob Arum trying to interfere with what they got going on in the PBC, because I know the PBC rolled out a schedule, and it could be something deliberately being done by Bob Arum to pull away numbers or whatnot. But I don't like it as well, and especially when they're competing against the UFC. So that's them trying to hit the PBC side of things with the double whammy. So you got a UFC event going on ESPN, as well as a boxing event going on at the same time. And kind of you can cross the fans for UFC will cross-reference with boxing, as well with those boxing fans from that side of things will pull away from watching this event over on the PBC. But that's what I think it is with Bob Arum. I haven't seen the schedule rolled out with them. That's why you didn't get too much promotion. But him trying to interfere, and you know, it clouds things, because you're going to miss either one, deciding depending on which side you go with.
Yeah, and you know, let's go right on into the Top Rank crap, because he shoveled that down with no advertisement, no you know, notifications or anything. Only when we got word of the weigh-ins from Friday, basically, did we hear, because the Boxing News is covering, you know, the weigh-ins. And when I say Boxing News, I mean boxing in general. You know, you look for what's happening on that day, and oh, we got weigh-ins. And it's like, oh, it's a fight card. Effie Ajaba's fighting. Molina and Pedraza are fighting. What's really going on? It's like, you know, boom, they just drop it in your lap like that. So, you know, we did have a chance to hear a little bit on your broadcast what was happening with Effie Ajaba and his you know, his outing, his coming out party for Top Rank. And according to what you were witnessing, it was very much a lackluster affair for him, right?
Man, it was horrific, man, seeing F.A. look how he looked inside that ring against this level of opponent they had him in there with. He couldn't seem to get anything going, man. It was almost like he took many steps backwards. His progression has, like, really regressed. I mean, the decisions he made, may come back to bite him in the ass. Him leaving the PBC when they had him on the steady, the steady move, his move forward. Now seeing Top Rank just push him out there out of nowhere, not really giving any notice that this young rising heavyweight that they have, who they're putting a lot of things behind it. FA had a pretty exciting build-up, which was built up by the PBC. For him just to vacate it like that was some real ill shit that, like I said, it's probably one of the worst decisions he's made. And not only did he leave the PBC, he leaves his trainer. And leaving that trainer, it showed there were so many holes in what FA displayed tonight against an opponent who really didn't throw too much of anything. And this opponent was in there tired, but this opponent could have did more. If that opponent would let that right hand go a little bit more, he probably could have done something to FA a job. But even though FA got the win, a win is a win, but ultimately it was a very bad look for him. And he may want to reconsider going back over to Ronnie Shields, because what Ronnie Shields is showing him is something that he needs, especially with his, with his level of talent, with his type of mechanics. Ronnie Shields is a perfect match for this guy, but he looked bad under Ronnie Shields. He probably would have got this guy right up out of there. He'd been much cleaner, much sharper on his punches. His punches were so sloppy. He couldn't land anything flush. When he hit this guy took the punches well, and it was almost like FA was just throwing very poor placed punches. It was like not even the knuckle of the punch will hit this guy. It was almost like the palm would end up glancing and pushing this guy's face back. But it was a bad look, even though in the victory, it was a very, very bad look for FA.
Horrible stuff, man. Horrible stuff. I switched over briefly just to see him. I think it was already in the 5th round. And I was looking, I was like, this guy is going into the 5th round with FA. I was like, man, look at, and he was plodding around like Frankenstein monster, with no mobility, no agility. And the big guy was just that. He was a big dude. He probably, was an NFL reject or something, but it's like, dude, really? And I understand it went the distance, and it's like, really? But again, if people can't see what's wrong with Top Rank boxing, man, it is right in front of your face on so many levels. This whole thing right here, I mean, that should have been a showcase for him. It should have been some type of promotions from the time he signed with them. He's a heavyweight. And right now there's fire in the heavyweight division. They just totally dropped the ball with this. And I don't like the fact that good people like Ronnie Shields, get kind of like pushed to the side and can't get their acknowledgement for what their contributions are in the sport, when you got these lames like FA making moves like he's making, because I guarantee you within the next year he gets beaten, and beaten ugly. I'm talking about maybe KO'd by somebody or whatever, because that's what they do over there. They set folks up, the ones that they don't want to really get the push behind, and then they protect others. So you mark my words, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. So let's not, we don't even have to go into any more about him. What were your thoughts of how the Pedraza and Molina fight went?
As I was looking, and once again with the overlapping kind of taken away from a full focus on it, but as I'm looking at it, it was kind of a back and forth swing type fight. When I look up, I'll see Pedraza getting hurt. I mean, not Pedraza, but Molina getting hurt. Then I'll see Pedraza getting walked back. Molina putting on punches on Pedraza. Just a real back and forth type action fight. And also seeing Pedraza almost closing the fight out. I seen he had Molina hurt very bad in that final round, but he couldn't close it off. Even in the 7th round, he had Molina hurt at one point. And he didn't know how to go in for the finish. He didn't know how to go ahead and capitalize on having his opponent hurt and his opponent going back into defense and shelling up. Every punch he threw after having this guy hurt, he was hitting off the damn arms, getting shots blocked. He couldn't find out how to set up to get this guy up out of here. And that was a pretty bad look, especially with him moving up to this 140 division, which is going to be a pretty heavy division, seeing him at 135 and not being able to finish off the top top opposition that he came to face. But it was a pretty good matchup. But the other thing is that the other guy, Molina, I heard had been on a pretty extensive layoff in this fight as well. And he put up a good fight against Pedraza. So all in all, I don't know where Pedraza's going to go at this division.
Well, I had a chance to catch the last 2 rounds, and forgive us, chat, that we started this show. I know I had put 11 p.m. time down, but since those shows overlapped, we both were trying to just catch the last bit of that top-ranked card. What I noticed was exactly what you said. Pedraza, he was able to do something out of that southpaw position he was fighting in, but he didn't have the wherewithal to close the show. And I'm starting to notice that is something that is not happening around in the sport right now. Guys being able to finish people off, that takes skill, and it takes knowledge of how to break a guy down who's hurt. We actually saw something quite similar in the final fight on the Lubin card. So we'll get into that in a moment. But as far as this, I don't know where he's going either. Talking about Pedraza, and Molina seems to be a guy that doesn't have enough power, at least at that weight that they were fighting tonight. Because I know that they were saying that, you know, Pedraza had given way to moving up, and he's looking to challenge for another title. But maybe he had enough power to hurt Molina, but maybe he won't be hurting some of those guys who naturally fight at that weight. And there's another thing about a guy who seemingly, like I said, he can't close the show if you get someone hurt, because someone can come back and hurt you or even take you out. So when you look at these things, you can see I guess we can actually focus in on it. You can see some of the shortcomings of everyone that fought tonight, you know, and it is up to us to really provide the truth on these matters when we start talking about them, because that is something you can't overlook. When someone takes a loss, or someone takes some real adversity and they don't look good, you'll be able to make an honest assessment of why that is, you know. And from tonight, you know, we could go right on into that card for Showtime. You know, we saw some things tonight that it was entertaining, but if you're looking at fighters who are going to be fighting again in a few months or whatever, you want to see them clean up a little bit of stuff, you know, because these guys are out there and you can see it. Now, some people could say, well, maybe it's, you know, ring rust or whatever, because, you know, the guys haven't been fighting, and, you know, it's like, it's a chance for them to come back and, you know, get their feet wet again, so to speak. But I don't know about that. I mean, we could start with the Jaron Ennis fight against what's his name? What's his name, Reggie? The Dominican that Ennis fought tonight. Abreu, yeah. Because this is spelled so funny. Abreu is a strong customer. That doesn't equate to tough. It doesn't equate to being good. But he's strong, and he's never been, you know, knocked out before. And we saw some good things from Ennis as far as when he let his hands go. His hand speed is pretty darn good, very entertaining and flashy. I think he plays a little too much. That might be the youthful immaturity in him, but he's going to have to clean that up very quickly. And then I saw some things that I'm concerned with that he was doing technique-wise that I didn't like. But I'll toss it over to you. What were your thoughts about what you were able to see in Abreu's trying to bring a challenge to Boots?
With Abreu, he was showing that he was strong early, and his plan, like he stated, was to go in there. He's going to get hit a lot. He wasn't going to try to match Jaron punch for punch because of the variance in speed. Jerron was just way too quick for him, so he wasn't going to play those games with Jerron. His thing was to weather the storm, allow Jerron to kind of, I guess in his mind was to allow Jerron to kind of just throw his punches, tire himself off. He'll fade a little bit, and this guy was expected to start coming on a little bit stronger in those middle stages of the fight. And that's what I started to kind of see right at like round 4. And I was worried about that, seeing Jerron playing around a little bit too much. And also at that moment, his father was seeing the same thing, where his father made a statement, you need to stop playing around in here on this guy. And I seen this guy just having that right hand loaded up, kind of hidden away to try to catch Jerron with something. He looked very strong as well. Jerron began to move around a little bit, kind of shift out the way of this guy. And also I liked what Abreu did at the one moment in the fight, where Jerron hit him with a low punch, and the ref didn't really react to it. The ref let the fight continue on. That motherfucker retaliated right behind that. Right away, he retaliated. And that's what you do in a fight like that. And it stops Jerron from even trying to go low with a punch like that.
Absolutely. And you didn't see Ennis go low anymore, did you?
Absolutely. Didn't try it at all. Because that dude wound up on his shit. He made sure Jerron felt that shit. Like, we ain't playing these games. And but going forward, I just thought I thought he was going to be someone who was going to catch Jerron with a punch. And that's what I was worried about, being that Jerron could have got this guy out of here much sooner. I love the goddamn instructions from his father. I think his father is his trainer. Whoever's the trainer was, I love the instructions he gave to Jerron. And he didn't fall in love. Many of these other trainers would have fell in love with all this flashy, showboaty shit that Jerron was in there doing. The trainer was like, you need to stop playing around in there. Get this guy the fuck up out of here. Stop pulling around. And I hate when Jerron would throw a nice, beautiful punch, and when he pulls it back, he wants to roll with it. Like he's doing some old cowboy roll or rolling the bowling ball. That shit has to be cleaned up as he moves up in the divisions. But I think Jerron is dangerous for any of these champions that's out here lurking around, slow rolling, not fighting higher caliber opposition to make them better, because this dude is on his way and he's going to be a champion. He's going to be a champion very soon.
Yeah, absolutely. And I noticed him leaping off the canvas a couple of times too. You got to keep your feet on the ground, man. You can't be off your feet. You know, you can't, this is not hippity hop to the barbershop. You need to keep your feet planted on that canvas. Now you can glide around, you can move around on your toes, you can slide left and right, front and center, those kind of things, to and fro. But that leaping off the canvas, that right there, I don't like it at all. And I don't like the fact how he got hit a couple of times by this guy who was very crude in his technique. And someone with sharper technique, you know, he needs to clean his defense up a little bit better. And I noticed his hands were out of position a lot. And that is that thing about Roy Jones that I had put him, you know, in that category of. And he's still young. He can clean that up and stop it, because yeah, it might look cool and you guys think he's showboating and everything, but I'm going to tell you something. There will come a time when he can't get away with that. You heard us talking earlier today on an earlier stream about that when it came down to Roy's, when that athleticism begins to go down with age. And some guys it happens too quick. Sometimes it happens too in the time that it should. It depends on what type of lifestyle they're living, what type of punishment their bodies take and everything. But you won't be able to jump out of the way all the time. You won't be able to lean over out of the way. You're going to have to put those hands up and protect yourself. That's what you're supposed to be doing. And that's called refined technique. If you don't have any sense of refined technique, when those tools go away that you thought would be there, that's when people will really get you, and they'll nail you, and they can hurt you really, really bad. But I'm not trying to come down on the brother. He's very young still, but I do see him being able to win the title, because a lot of the champions are, not built to last. Let's just be honest. Somebody may win, but somebody else may win as well. And so I see titles transferring hands, especially after certain people may be vacating titles because they may not want to deal with this young man and some of the talent that he brings. So I do see what you're saying there with that. And his dad did tell him, hey, you know, stop that clowning around, but he don't wait till fight night. Tell him that in the gym while you getting him ready. Hey, we ain't going in here clowning this time. We going in here to handle business. Because he needs to send the message to the boxing world that he has arrived and he wants that smoke with champions. That's what he really needs to do. He needs a definitive victory like that. And tonight was, you know, it was a step on the rung of the ladder for that. It can happen for him. I do see him becoming a champion in the future. Those are my thoughts on Ennis.
Yeah, I wanted to bring up that point, man, that you brought it up with him being such an athletic fighter and getting away with being able to do certain things because of athleticism like Roy Jones. And this is why he needs to sharpen up on remaining as a technical gifted fighter and not relying so much on the athleticism and the showboat type shit that he does, because it starts to become what he implements is being normal and shifting away from, you know, these, you know, what can be technical abilities along with his natural gifts. Because when he starts to slow down and lose that athleticism, it's probably going to have a real you know, negative effect on him. And like what happened with Roy, when he started to lose a little bit of that speed up on him, he started getting connected with punches. So he has to sharpen up on just keeping in that technical type of shit going on with him and not being so enamored with that damn, you know, the flashiness and the technical side of things. Because as he moves up, all that you know, the showboating type stuff that he's become so adapted to, he's going to have to shift away from it and get into really becoming the fighter that's right up under there that he hasn't displayed yet. But that's all my point on that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And let's move on to that next fight that saw Tug Nyambayar, who took on Gary Russell Jr. Earlier in the year, and you know, fought a tough battle, but Gary outclassed him and won a unanimous decision on him. But this evening, he took on Mr. How do you pronounce his name? It's like Corbin Breedy, and Breedy, who looked like a shrunken down version of Tim Bradley in a sense, especially when he rolled over from that knockdown in the second round. That was funny when he rolled over. But yeah, this guy brought a fight to Tug tonight, Reggie. And as you were calling it, I was laughing because, you know, he was that first round, man, he dictated the pace. He set the pace, didn't he? It was sad that it was ruined by a knockdown. But take us through that again from your call and how you saw this fight opening up and going forward.
Man, like I said, man, the one thing I gotta go back and apologize to Breedy publicly on the live. I underestimated you. Thought you was gonna come in here to get knocked the hell. Seeing a fight of his, and I won't do that again with another fighter. Just by trying to base on what they'll look like in the ring based off of the type of opposition they fought. This guy came in here and he fought an excellent damn first round. Well, he fought an excellent fight, but that first round, he was magnificent. He ended up just whipping the fuck out of Nyambayar with that jab. That jab was fluid as hell that Brady rolled out there. And the other thing that was solid with Brady is he used his hands and his feet. He always made sure he was moving. He pivoted around, not allowing Tug to set up on anything. Tug had hit him with a few punches to catch him every now and then, but that guy's jab was out there. His multiplying on punches, throwing those right hands in there, banging with Tug on the inside, slipping his way up out of there, hitting. and making Tug miss. It was super effective, except towards the final seconds. It was just a few seconds in that round where Tug caught him with a clean shot and dropped him. I was like, oh, man, it's about to be over with because it was a solid shot. I thought the guy was hurt pretty bad due to great conditioning, and that's why training camp is always key, because with great conditioning it allows a person's body and brains to program shit that was scattered at that moment. So he ended up coming right back to it, but I think the round ends. So I was finding it hard to make that a 10-8 round based on how well that guy fought in that first round. That's why I was asking you guys, is it still considered a 10-8 round just based on what that guy did here in that first round, and go on to the second round? That guy opens right back up, comes right back on Tug, working the jab. So he was never deterred by being hurt by Tug or being put down. So he never let the power of Tug affect him. And that's another reason why I took my cap off to that dude, is he still came forward on Tug, pressing the action, working the jab, still kind of controlling the second round. It wasn't like his offense depleted. He still fought the fight he was fighting in the first round. And then he gets caught again, and that's when he hits that somersault. Gets caught clean with a nice shot, rolls over like his twin brother. He gets back up. He gets back up and continues to fight Tug. But matter of fact, the second round was a good round for Tug as well. Tug was hitting this guy with some pretty heavy and clean shots, and the guy took the punches very well. He's able to absorb those punches, roll with them. That ends up being a 10-8 round from there. So from round 3 to 6, I had this guy pulling away with all those rounds on Tug. Effective jabbing, effective movement, rolling, shifting over to defense, making Tug miss. He was able to catch a lot of Tug shots. Tug was starting to pull back on his offense from what this guy was able to do on his do through that jab, and also firing those right hands on Tug. It started to shell Tug up. Tug couldn't figure out how to catch this dude. I think this dude's performance was up there where Gary Russell Jr. performance against Tug was. This guy fought a hella fight, and his activity was great. His movement was great. And then in round 7, I ended up shifting it back to Tug. Then it was kind of like back and forth between those rounds. It was shift over to Tug, back to 9 Bayard. My scorecard ended up being a draw for this fight, but it was a hella fight, an excellent fight, and it caught Tug it caught Tug off guard. Even in that corner, the corner of Tug, they were a little worried about where this fight was going to go. Tug was holding his head down in that corner as he was shocked and not expecting what he got from this opponent. But it was a great fight. It's probably the best fight of the night.
Yeah, they were really going at it, and you always wish the best for guys who bring their efforts. And on that night, this young man Brady, he brought it, and he did something that hurt himself even further in the fight, where they were talking about he blew his nose, where he had a little bit of he had a little bit of a swelling around one of his eyes, and when he blew his nose, it kind of blew the eye up a little bit, and for those of you out there that don't know this about your nasal cavities and sinuses, and when you have eye injuries in boxing where you got swelling or something like that, they tell you don't blow your nose, because the air that you blow goes up through the sinus cavities around the eye, and it'll pocket around the eye and make the eye blow up even more. So, he did that to himself, and it affected him for a couple of rounds. But once he adjusted, he was kind of okay. I noticed that about him. And he was in pretty damn good condition himself. And he noticed that when he picked his feet up and he started moving laterally and moving away and making Tug come after him, that's when he was like, he was in very much control of the fight. And his jab was very good, Reggie. He had a very good jab on this night. Sometimes when a guy gets a jab going, it could carry him home. The difference in this fight was the 2 knockdowns. And outside of that, I did have Tug winning the fight because he got the 2 knockdowns. I had it 114 to 112. If you don't get the knockdowns, it's still probably a draw. But you could kind of lean toward Breedy if the knockdowns weren't there, because that first round, as you said, he boxed so well. He put Tug on his heels, and the knockdown happened because he was admired in his work. You know, they always tell fighters don't admire their work, right? And he was going in because the getting was so good during that round. And he got, you know, his feet was crossed up, and he got hit, and he got struck, and he went down. But I like when fighters show up like that. He didn't show up to be just the opponent on this night. He came to fight, and I like to see the guy again. I have a ton of respect for fighters who put that effort out there. And when Tug was sitting in the corner, as you said, with his head down, he was trying to figure out, like, if this is going to be his night or not. You could kind of see it in his body language. But what proved very revealing for him was he was able to, Tug was able to take Breedy's power. Breedy was probably just a little light-fisted for him. You know, he had respectable punching power, meaning if he could catch, you know, Tug coming in with something, he could probably really do some damage. But as far as going on the offensive, trying to take, you know, Tug out, he didn't have enough power like that. And that's where he could put himself, meaning Breedy, could put himself in jeopardy in that situation. But it was very entertaining. They let their hands go. There was times when Tug got shook a couple of times. It was a great fight. Like you said, possibly the fight of the night, man. And sometimes, you know, when it happens like that, it's a defining moment because of what may be coming up, you know, and I think we saw hints of that tonight, you know. But I really like Breedy's effort tonight. He brought it. They should have I said in your chat, I was like, he's fighting like Creed, you know, and Michael B. Jordan, the character he plays in the movie Creed, you know, he plays with so much heart and stuff, like the Black Rocky, right? That's what Breedy was playing tonight. He was playing like Creed in there, and he fought hard, man. And that's all you could ask for a guy, is to lay it down on the line, and that's what he did. You got anything else on them?
No, I just tip my hat off to Breedy, man. What an excellent fight. And also he busted Tug up. That blood Tug leaking, man. Yeah. And just to watch a guy, man, for a guy to get up off the canvas, and that should be anything for any of these fighters. And even the fighter who scores the knockdown, if a guy's lights ain't out, the fight ain't over. And sometimes when a fighter is putting the guy down like that, it may deflate them a little bit for a guy to get up and come right the hell up at you. And I think Breedy knew that. He was inspired by it. Seems like it fired him up to come right at this guy. Let me affect this guy mentally by him seeing him hitting me with his best punch, and I'm coming right up after this dude. And that's just what he did. But like you said about blowing his nose, I think he possibly made a mistake by doing that. But it showed the heart of this dude. Even the refs were trying to, I didn't like how the doctor came up there at one point. Then the ref sent him over there to the doctor at one point. And I was hoping they wasn't going to interfere with this fight. But this guy was not trying to quit. He didn't give two damns about that eye. He only cared about putting hands on Tug.
Yeah. So, you know, again, when guys come out like that and they perform like that, you kind of even wish that they could get a little extra on their check or something, man, because it does make a difference when most fighters don't bring it like that. So my hat's off to him as well. Hope that he gets a chance to get brought back and get a chance to, you know, get a good payday on a televised program, man. Because I just want the best for the guys when it comes down to stuff like that, you know. But, you know, we can get to the main event, which was Erickson Lubin versus Terrell Gautier. On paper, this fight looked like a decent fight for Lubin to come out and show why he's one of the top fighters at the division. But I, as you know, you were doing the call, I had remarked many times, I'm like, you know, this fight is crap. It's like these two guys, it reminded me of the fight like with Bernard Hopkins and Winky Wright. You know, it was like, that was not a good fight either. And both guys were like just touching gloves and tapping gloves and moving around, circling each other, and nobody wanted to make any commitments or anything. And it was like, it's hard to watch. You know, it's very hard to watch. I actually was going to doze off in one of the rounds. I think it was like the round 4 or round 5. And it just, I had to slap myself and like wake myself up, because I'm like, this is, you know, there's nothing happening. You could see that Lubin was controlling what was taking place because of his posture, and he could stop Terrell's punches. He knew he was very good at picking them off. But even he wasn't doing very much after picking the shots off. I mean, he'd shoot his jab up high or shoot it to the body or something like that. There was very little body work in this fight. There was very little infighting. There were hardly little to no clinches at all. This fight was not an entertaining fight. It was definitely poo-poo as far as I'm concerned. And they talk about styles making fights. These two guys' styles did not mesh at all. You might as well had either man standing in front of a mirror all night and just going at it like that. It was just not a easy fight to look at. And I found myself giving rounds to Gautier just because, you know. And it's not like I gave him, I gave him a lot of them, because I only think I gave him like 3. And but it's like I was very uncomfortable with what I saw. What was your take on this fight, Reggie?
Both guys played it too safe. I think that's what it came down to. They played it too safe. I think especially Gautier. Gautier didn't want to take too many risks because he's probably fearful of what is that? What's his name? Lubin's power. So I think that's why he held it back. Lubin took it a little bit slow, waiting to see what Gautier was going to bring to the table. But I like what Lubin was doing, is he was effectively terminating the jab of Gautier. And Gautier was allowing it. Gautier throwing, I don't know, Gautier thought he was hitting the mitts or some shit. He kept throwing shots, punching it at the damn glove of Lubin. And Lubin just batting it down, just leaving him with nothing but a right hand, in which he barely was able to throw out there. So I like that aspect of what Lubin was doing. But I think he could have stepped the tempo up a whole lot more as well. But I think, once again, him worrying about staying safe in this fight, just earning the victory, being able to out-jab this guy. But they didn't put on too much activity. Now, with him fighting this slow-paced, safe fight, it also was Kevin Cunningham who warned and told him, don't let this dude lure you to sleep. Meaning you need to step this shit up, start pushing the action on him. And that's really what he needed to do. But he did land some nice shots. The jab is snappy from Lubin, and the left hand. He places the left hand perfectly straight line down to the body. But he has to definitely step it up and keep himself clean in between exchanges. His thing is he needs to work off the jab before he even goes into these wild exchanges, because I thought it was several times any cleaner or sharper puncher in a fight could have got Lubin up out of there with a clean shot in between these exchanges. Because he still has that aspect in him, Lubin does, is where he used to like to go in there, try to get the quick knockouts. But now he's starting to go back into being a boxer, which is perfect for him. But as becoming a boxer, he needs to lead the action a little bit more. Step the tempo up, but it could just be for this fight. The other fights, he's been getting guys up out of there and pushing the action as well. I think they show a little too much respect to each other in here, but he got caught. Lubin ended up getting caught in that one round where he get hits with the punch right on the temple. Got caught right on the temple. And what round was that? That was round number 10. He gets caught right up on the temple. He's wobbly as hell. But he also had the presence of mind. He's taunting Gautier at the same moment. And Gautier let the dude off the hook. This dude was hurt bad, wobbling. But good thing he was able to stay on his feet. Gautier, no killer instinct, did not close in at that moment. Let this guy off the hook. He started fighting back. It was almost like Lubin's Floyd Mayweather moment. But it was a clean shot. Can't say he's weak on the chin. He got hit right on the temple shot. It was a clean shot as he made a mistake, pulled him back, leaving his hands down, gets hit right in that spot, which I think would have made any fighter out there wobbly getting hit with a punch like that. But then he was able to pull off the next 2 rounds, 11 and 10. But he also had Gautier hurt pretty bad in the 12th round. And he didn't capitalize on trying to get Gautier out of there. He inched his way moving forward, then pressed the action to try to get the knockdown and try to end the fight in spectacular fashion when having him hurt. But that's, once again, another fighter who did not close out the night when he had an opponent wounded. But that's all I got on that one.
Yeah, it looked, again, like I said, they were mirrors of each other. It's just that Lubin is a younger guy, fresher, has a brighter upside because they feel that he can possibly be better than average. He could be special. But it's not proven yet because of 2 things. One, what already transpired when they put him in there too soon, as I thought, with Jermell Charlo, and he suffered that defeat. But also, again, I talk about these guys being able to get title shots and things like that before they learn how to fight. I talk about it all the time. And here we had tonight. Yeah, he got caught a shot high on the head, which can make you do funny things. I remember when, what was his name? Gamboa hit Terrence Crawford, with that shot. And Terrence's leg got real stiff for him. For a moment there, and he backed away. It was funny, man. It was like, because you could forgive me for laughing so much, but when these guys, when something happened to them for the first time, they don't know really what to do, and you can see the response. Well, in this instance with Lubin, when he got hit that shot, he knew to cover up, because he got knocked out by Jermell already, right? So he knew to cover up, but he had that smile on his face like, oh, you got me, like the guy that got caught with his hand in the cookie jar, so to speak. But look at Gautier not knowing how to follow up, didn't go to the body, didn't throw the proper punches in succession after hurting his man. And then in the last round when Lubin hurt him, he didn't throw the proper punches following up. So thus me speaking on them being like mirrors of one another out there for the entire fight. Nobody wanting to risk anything, nobody looking to get on the inside, nobody looking to try to take the play from the other guy by making an adjustment and doing something different. Neither one of those guys will win a title shot fighting a champion like that. You have to be versatile. You have to be able to make adjustments. You have to change your levels. You have to do something different. If you're just going to stay on the outside and try to bat and tap another fighter's gloves like that all night long, you will run into something. And a real champion will set you up and lay traps for you. D. Hodges is asking who won. D. Hodges, Erickson Lubin won a decision, and it was it was a majority decision. He won the fight pretty much going away, but it was a boring fight. It's not a fight I would like to tune in and watch again. It was not fun. The fight prior to it with Tug Nyambayar and Colib Breedy was a better fight. So and that could have been the fight of the night, as Reggie had suggested. But the 2 men between Lubin and Gautier, they just didn't risk anything. They both fought safe. They actually fought like they were really friends or something. When they talk about these boxers out here being friends and they don't want to fight each other and stuff like that, that's the kind of way you would think a fight like that would turn out with 2 guys like that. And both of these men were talking crap to each other the entire promotion. So very interesting that the fight ended up as it did, Reggie. Very interesting. So the Boxing King Archive says, I would like to see him mix up his punches more off the jab. I wonder why Lubin didn't have much more output. Was it ring rust, Gautier power, or was it his gas tank? Only Lubin can answer that question. Only Lubin can answer that question, but you would have to pose the same question to Terrell Gautier, because they fought just alike, man. I mean, seriously, from bell to bell, first to 12, they fought the same. Each man fought like the other guy. And like I said, it reminded me of the fight that was Bernard Hopkins and Winky Wright. It was just one of those battles that you kind of wish you didn't see, you know, because it's like nothing happened. Nothing happened. I don't think anybody even suffered a bloody nose or anything. The fight was just that, you know, a lot of punches were blocked. A lot of punches didn't land. And a lot of that touching the glove crap. That right there, man, I know what to do against that. But it's like, to see them men do that for 8, 9 rounds, I mean, come on. That just, that bothered me, man. It bothered me. Because sometimes you have to throw some solid punches to a guy's chest and step in behind him and get in close so you can get your pound of flesh. These guys, they were just standing on the outside. You're it. No, you're it. You're it. No, you're it. Am I right, Reggie?
Yeah, 100%.
Shit. Dude, that's ridiculous right there. And if Lubin thinks that one of these other champions are going to let him get away with that kind of crap, he got another thing coming, man. Because Mel Charlo already proved he'll lay hands on you. You understand? He ain't going for that crap. And this kid Rosario Banana, he's the same. He's going to punch you. You understand? You might beat him, you might can outbox him or something, but he gonna let his hands fly on your ass. So, you know, you gotta have a guy like that offering up something. You can't just be playing it safe, man. And again, if you're vying for a title shot, right? It's like, why would somebody want to see you in a title shot? Either man winning, right? Why would somebody want to see the champion take them on? Why? They'd be like, man, I saw that guy, he stunk up the joint. And they did. What you got on it, Reg? Is that it, or you got something else?
No, that's what I got on that one. But I want to say Efe Ajagba need to go ahead and take that walk of shame tomorrow. Go into a church, take part of that check, pay your tithes, make a prayer to God to ask that Ronnie Shield forgive you, and that you will be able to walk into that gym and have him to take you back. So Monday come, you walk in there, you sit there, you have a long talk with Ronnie Shields, and you ask for forgiveness for betraying him, and see if you can come back into his gym and recapture the services that Ronnie Shields tried to provide to develop you. I think that's what Efe needs to do. Need to take that walk of shame, put his pride aside, and face the realization that Ronnie Shields may be the only trainer that can effectively help him go as far as he can go with the level of skill that he has. But that's all I have on that.
That's a mighty good suggestion, because I swear I was watching Boris Karloff's Frankenstein Monster. The little bit that I saw of him out there, he might as well had that old gray suit on with the black sweater underneath it and them big stack boots. That's who he looked like, Frankenstein Monster from Universal Pictures. He was out there with his hands out, you know, just reaching for somebody like, I'm going to get you, you know, and he never did nothing. Just a big monster. And I'm going to tell you, with no head movement and the stiffness that he have, he's ripe for the pickings for somebody who can punch. If AJ's people were smart, they'll line him up, man. They line him up because AJ could beat this guy, and he'll look good doing it. And the name is, oh yeah, Ajagba was supposed to be a young good prospect coming up. They should take him off the the shelf while they can, you know, seriously. And again, that's how you do it. If you're a established fighter, you go for a guy like that because, you know, he's got heat behind his name, right? It's like people want, oh, he's going to be the future and this and that. But not without Ronnie Shields, he ain't. And you get him now, like somebody send him an offer and be like, hey, we want you, you know, a shot at the title or you know, a top contender spot or whatever. Because I think Top Rank is foolish enough to take the deal. If he was still with Shields and the people that were with him with Shields, I think it was Shelly Finkel maybe or whatever. If he was still on that side of things, I think that it would be a different thing. They wouldn't take a deal like that. But somebody needs to get smart, man. I'm telling you. Even that kid Kalnaki, man, might have a chance against this dude. That's how bad he looked tonight to me. You know, and Kalnaki is not a good fighter. He's just a tough guy. But, you know, he will throw shots. And this guy will be there to get hit with him. You know, just a big, strong guy. He's just tall and strong. That's all. But, yeah, you're right, Reggie. That's what he should do, man. That's definitely what he should do. I agree with that.
Yeah, so hopefully he takes that word of advice tomorrow. He got to get on it.
Yeah. Well, while we got some people here listening to us, man, why don't we give a little acknowledgement for the fights that are coming up next weekend, where we get a chance to see the Charlo twins come back again. And it's a two-part pay-per-view thing. I think they said they'll have an intermission in between, where you'll see in the first fight Jamal, the bigger twin, taking on Sergey Deverenchenko, who's coming off of a pretty good butt whooping of Triple G. And they're saying that this could be a fight where Jamal is challenged because Deverenchenko is an experienced fighter. He's strong at the weight class and things like that, and he's supposed to command a little bit of respect. But Jamal, being a young lion, as we've referred to them, both the Charlo brothers, is looking for a name that he can climb the rudder of fame on. So it's like, with that fight being on the horizon next weekend, Reggie, what are your pre-fight thoughts on this middleweight championship fight?
This is going to be a good fight, a hell of a fight for Charlo, man. I'm going for Charlo in this fight. I think he can pull it off, but it ain't going to be no walk in the park. Deverenchenko's coming to fight. Deverenchenko's highly motivated. He's looking to get that title. Matter of fact, I think he should have, well, I don't think Triple G had a belt, but I think he should have been given that victory against Triple G when the two faced off against each other. And Deverenchenko's motivated by that. I think he's going to kind of use that as his motivation of speaking of why he belongs and possibly why he should be a champion. So Charlo has to really take this guy serious, really follow instructions. He is the guy who listens to his trainer, because Ronnie Shields doesn't play that shit. He's one of the few trainers who doesn't allow a fighter to talk back to him and tell him what he's going to do inside the ring. So I think the instructions that Charlo will be getting here will be top-notch, but also Deverenchenko's getting top-notch instructions. He has Danny Jacobs' old trainer, and I'm pretty sure they're working on some hellified things in this camp. So this is going to be a pretty tough fight, and I think Charlo just going to have to be effective off the use of his jab, getting those power shots right behind it, and just finding his moments, and also staying sharp on defense, not falling asleep, because this guy Deverenchenko's coming right in there at his ass. But I favor Charlo in this fight. Ain't no knockouts. I think this is going to full fight. If he gets the knockout, hey, the division is his, regardless of who holds titles. This is, to me, the fight game ain't about belts. It's about when top-level opposition faces each other, that's who becomes the champion in my eyes. But if he can get the Deverenchenko up stop, man, that will send a huge statement through that division and to the sport of boxing, which even non-fans of Charlo will probably be looking for him to get one of these big fights against whoever they view as being the top guy out there. But that's how I view that one.
Yeah. I think that this is going to be a very good showcase for Jamal Charlo. It's interesting because there are some who feel like, you know, he needs to be tested further and some more seasoning that hasn't been shown. But I have actually been kind of high on Jamal, more so than Jamel. And it's just that, you know, when I'm taken with a fighter, it's usually something that they've shown me that, you know, draws me in with attachment of like paying attention, caught my attention. And with him, it's his technical precision in executing certain things. He's got a shotgun of a jab. He has decent power in both hands. But more than anything, he listens to Ronnie Shields. He really does. And that goes far in my book. Because when you have a trainer that's trying to tell you to do some things and you're definitely capable of executing what he's trying to put out there for you, and then when you do it, there's like such positive results, that gives you confidence in what your trainer's telling you, and therefore makes you more committed to do further things when he tells you. And I saw it in the fight with J-Rock where he knocked J-Rock out, right? But before the knockout, when he caught J-Rock with that uppercut, how he had did that particular drill that you do and you practice it in the gym where you catch, it's usually a catch and shoot or a catch and parry or whatever, but he caught the jab, the right hand, and then came up underneath with the uppercut as a shot that caught the man clean, okay? They had said that they had practiced that and practiced that and practiced that, right? So it's like to see it happen in the ring, in the heat of action and everything, and then that be what leads to the finale of the fight. The fight is pretty much going to be over after that. That gives you so much. And it makes, like, if you're the student, right, you go back to the gym like, oh, man, you know, you're hyped because it's like, show me some other stuff I can do. Again, that's something. And then when he fought Hogan, okay, that Ronnie had came, after I think it was the second round, he came back to the corner and Ronnie had told him, he was like, look, man, you got to do X, Y, Z and this and that. And then when he went out there that next round, he took that, you know, Hogan was going to be there to try to survive. He took that away from him based off of what Ronnie told him. And it was like he went out and did what the coach said, like on command. And the fight just changed just like that. So I'm very, very inspired by observing a fighter go out and do what his trainer tells him and get the results that they are looking to get. Excellent stuff, man. Excellent stuff. And that's just how I see that. That doesn't mean nobody else does it or anything, but it's like, it's one of the reasons why I like him. I was like, man, he will. So I think that this fight is going to definitely be a fight that Ronnie Shields has to coach him through for victory. Not because he can't just go out there and beat him with his talent and skill, but I think it has to be a tactical means of doing away with Deverenchenko. Deverenchenko has skills and boxing experience. And even going back to his amateur career, having seen and faced so many different types of styles and everything, it has to be something that he will bring in this fight that might give some wrinkles that Jamal hasn't had. But Ronnie is going to be key in this. And as long as he believes in what Ronnie tells him, he's going to be just fine. If he's the rebellious kind that doesn't like to take, you know, counsel from his corner and stuff like that, he could have a rough night. and only because of not paying attention or listening. But I don't think he's that kind of person. I think that he's a lot different than his brother, and he will lean into that mentorship, and that will help him. And the more that helps him, the better fighter he'll be, and the more progress you'll see in his fights, how he wins. That's very important as well, because your progression should be something that we can witness. Not just you knock the dude out, but maybe how you set it up, maybe how you landed a shot in particular, or how a other person couldn't touch you, or whatever. There should be progressions. It shouldn't just be, I knocked this one out, I knocked that one out, I knocked that one out. It should be a progression of your development. And I've seen a lot of development in Jamal. So I just wanted to say that about him, and that fight coming up. So, and then Reggie, we have in the second part of that fight card night, the twin, Jermell, is taking on Jason Rosario, and that fight will be the main event of the night, along with a couple of undercard fights where Neri versus Almeida and Roman versus Payang. So it's going to be a night of some fights. What are your thoughts on Jermell and Jason Rosario going into next week?
Hey, this is a fight that's going to be super tough, and it can go the opposite way for this twin here. I think he's the one who Derek James is going to really have to get in his ass and have to keep his mind locked in on it, even if he's facing a little bit of adversity in the fight. I don't see this Charlo brother effectively using his jab. He's a fighter who likes to get on the inside. He likes to gruel it out to try to outwork his opponent. He likes to try to outwill his opponent. And I think it can go bad for him in this fight against Jason Rosario. And I hear Jason Rosario with the comments, which also let me know that he's taking the fight serious. He's watching film on Charlo. He's making the adjustments to Charlo. And he's even spoken that he knows that Charlo ain't J-Rock Williams. He's much stronger than Williams. So that, for me, tells me that he knows who he's in there with. He respects his opponent. He's going to do everything effectively to focus in and work on this opponent. And this guy is a big fighter, big in stature, just like Charlo, probably equally as strong. And he's an effective jabber. This guy effectively uses his jab. I don't even look at his loss anymore. That loss he had to Gallimore happened when he was a young fighter, and it wasn't like he was knocked out. It was also, and it showed the heart of that guy, even looking at that knockout. He's in that fight when he was hit with another temple shot that buzzed him. When he dropped, he got right back up. He was dropped again. He got right back up, looking to go in there and fight, not looking to quit any of that. So it showed the heart of this dude as a young fighter. I think that happened when he was like 21 or something. It was very young in his career. So it shows the heart and resilience of that dude. But even going forward, this dude is strong, and he's a disciplined fighter. He's a fighter who's going to listen, and his fundamentals are proper. So my thing is, I've seen where Charlo can be hit with a jab, and I watched what Tony Harrison was able to do with them effectively off a jab. But with Charlo's aggression, you can use that against him. For anybody who's ever been out here fighting and shit, fought people, aggressive fighters, and if you're a person that stands off the jab, you can easily dismantle a fucking aggressive fighter. They're gonna walk in the shit all night, and that's what was happening to Charlo in that damn Harrison fight. Being that Charlo abandons his jab to get on the inside to try to do his work from that range, and he can't go about doing that. He's gonna have to work his jab, it's gonna have to be a fight that he works his way in. He's gonna have to he's going to really have to get in here and box this dude rather than trying to knock this guy out. Because him going for a knockout on this dude, he's going to walk into some shit from this Rosario dude. And Rosario is strong as hell. And I've heard it. I heard Money Powell speak to me about that when talking to him about this Rosario cat before the J-Rock fight, and speaking about how strong this guy is. So this is a fight that Jermell Charlo can lose if he falls into this over emotional, lacking of an emotional intelligence, and not sticking to his game plan. This is a game plan fight. And if he doesn't follow that instructions, he's losing this fight. It's going to be an embarrassing loss. But that's all I got on that.
Yeah, I think personally that in this fight, Jamel, should go back to his basics of being that quick-fisted, power-punching boxer that he had displayed all that time he had been working with Ronnie Shields. I know that he's picked up some things, you know, being with Derrick James and working in the camps with Errol Spence Jr., but this is definitely one of those fights for everything that it's riding on. Jamel needs to box smart. He needs to hit and not be hit. He needs to make this a whitewash. He needs to make Banana feel like he doesn't belong in the ring with him. And he can only do that by way of boxing. You can't do it by trying to impose yourself, because this young man is strong too at the weight. He has power too at the weight. He may not have the boxing acumen that Jermell has, because he hasn't shown that to us. This is why that's Mel's advantage. And you always go with what your advantages are when the deck is stacked and the table is set. You do what you do best. Don't try to go in there doing what the other guy does well and everything like that, because that's one of the things that I didn't like about Errol Spence fighting Mikey Garcia and Sean Porter. He went in and fought both guys' fights. Mikey couldn't slug with Earl, so he was going to try to box. And Earl went out there and outboxed Mikey. He was supposed to go out there and knock Mikey's head off and show him he didn't belong in the welterweight division, put him in a casket, and put some dirt on him. He didn't do that. Then when he goes in there with Sean Porter, he tries to fight Sean's fight, and Sean was the one that ended up showing more versatility, moving a little bit, which gave Earl some troubling moments and things like, but he didn't have the power to hurt Earl like he really would like to. So, and Earl made the fight a lot tougher than it needed to be. He could have outboxed Sean, you see, but he didn't. He chose to fight Sean. And that's okay, because the fact that, you know, styles make fights, if he had boxed, it would have been an exciting fight with him and Sean anyway, because they were both champions and their ego and their desire to prove they're being the best was going to be on the line in that fight. So, but here, where we have this unification between these two champions, I don't know that Mel is strong enough over the long haul to deal with a guy with the strength that Banana brings. And that's the thing, because the kid is naturally strong and strong at the weight and everything. And where he can't beat you with technique, he can pound on your body. He can wear you down, pull your stamina down to a point where slipping a shot won't be as easy as it was earlier in the rounds, because you're more fatigued and things like that. So be smart. Outthink the guy. Outpunch the guy. And when I say outpunch him, I don't mean standing and trading. I mean score and get out of his way. Make him reset, replant his feet to try to do something effective. And maybe you can catch him coming in, reaching or something like that, or land a certain shot where he's exposed himself because you've got out the way and you've tricked him into a certain move or whatever. You have to be very cerebral in a situation like this. And I think that's where his advantage is. But if he is really bought into what Derrick James is telling him, hopefully Derrick James can be reminding him of those things of which I speak. Because if you want to try to remind him to be a tough guy and go in there and let his nuts hang, so to speak, this could be detrimental. This is for all the marbles, man. Those titles, you understand? And you want to get them, you know, swim without getting wet. Huh? The old trainers used to say, and I love it from Georgie Benton, he said, win this one, look good the next time. You know, you don't have nothing to prove to nobody but Jason Rosario that you're better than he. And how do you do that? By out fighting him, by outboxing him, by outthinking him. You see, not out there trading with him, not out there showing who's the toughest guy and who's the man and all of that, because it could go south very quickly, like it did for J-Rock. J-Rock didn't think that man would be as strong as he was, and he went in there after being cut and not being focused properly, and thought he would just, well, I'm just going to go in here and try to, you know, take him out. And he got taken out. Huh? Because the old saying is, you got to bring it to get it, right? You call yourself, I'm going to get that. And they say, well, you got to bring that. And you didn't realize that you had that to bring, and now they got you. Huh? No, you don't need to do that, man. And hopefully Derrick James will convince him and have him convinced of that. So that's, you know, those are my thoughts on that. And you know, is hopefully the card turns out to be a wonderful card, and you know, we'll hope that, you know, it plays out. But I can't wait to see it. I'm very excited about that, because at least we know those are top quality fights. Unification match for Mel's fight, and a top quality contender opponent for Maul in his fight. So there it is. So what else you got, Reggie?
Man, that's all I got, OG, man. I can't wait for next week, man. I want to see what the outcomes look like in these fights. These are two tough fights. These guys ain't coming in here to have an easy go at defending the titles, which is much respect to both of the Charlo brothers. They true warriors. I don't care how to look at it. Even when one brother I dislike him at one moment, but I always would never lose respect, because they come in here to challenge themselves in every fight they go in. They ain't looking for none of this soft shit that we see from a lot of champions, and how the OGs speak about what's lacking in this area of boxing, man. And I was coming to terms with that, because early on, when I used to first hear that, I'm like, damn, the older cats be always hating on these young fighters, man. These young fighters are bigger, faster, stronger. But when I start looking at it, reviewing over some of them past era fights, I'm like, I see where y'all coming from. But these brothers right here kind of mirror what the old school fighter, the heart of old school fighters were like. But I can't wait to see this, and I'm glad that they're taking big step up fights in their title defense, and it's going to turn into a unification. And I like the fact that Charlo and even Rosario, salute to him, to taking on to unifying these titles. But once again, to me, fuck these titles. Just great seeing top guys fight each other. But that's all I got.
Yes, sir. And it'll be exciting, you know, to watch these guys do what they do. And I'll tell you something. For the winner and for the losers of these two matches that we're speaking of for next week, there'll be a lesson learned, okay? Win or lose. And that's what also adds to a fighter's resume, the experience. See, when you're in there with somebody who's supposed to be in there with you, you get tested to a degree about how to turn back that particular challenge. When you're in there with guys that don't belong in there with you, the only thing that does is help you with your confidence and to put you through you go through the motions of what you do to get rid of them. But when someone deserves to be there with you, what happens is now you have to start pulling out what you learned in algebra, okay? And You know, when you had to do fractions and decimals and all of that. See, that's when you have to pull out that homework. You see, when someone that deserves to be in there with you. And I use those type of analogies because that's the commonplace. Guess what? Brain activity. That's when it picks up and kicks in. Yeah. And that is where you either prove that you've learned something along your way, or you're still in a point of learning and you might, you know, suffer a setback or something like that. But that's what it means when it comes down to fighting guys who should be in the ring with you. Okay. We see now that Canelo, he's trying to fight somebody that nobody really wants to see him fight or whatever, and he's bypassing all these other guys. But y'all telling us he's so damn good. Well, why don't he get in there with somebody else who's good? But y'all say that he great. Why don't we see him in there with someone who could potentially be great? See, you can't have it both ways, man. You know, you can't. You got to see him in there against somebody that's going to challenge him. Not somebody in there that's just going to be happy to go to the distance or come to the dance, be invited. And just because he's giving me a payday. Every person that gets in the ring with Canelo Alvarez, because of what they say of him, you should be trying to knock his head off to take all of that away from him and put it on yourself. But it seems like everybody that he meets in the ring has sold out. They've made a compromise to where they are in their careers. People like Danny Jacobs. You know, I was so offended when Danny Jacobs got in there and he performed like he did against him, because I feel like Danny Jacobs had what it take to turn back him, you know, but it's like he didn't come there for that. He just came, you know, he just was happy with being on the guest list, you know. So I don't like fighters like that. So you can't pay me to support Danny Jacobs anymore, because he's a washout, you know, when it comes down to that kind of stuff. So, but yeah, Reggie, why don't you go ahead and give us some final words, and then we could get on up out of here and let people go on to their lives and whatever they're going to do with the rest of their weekend.
Yes, indeed, man. Another great show. Thanks to everybody that tuned in, hitting that like button, subscribing to the OG as well. Another great play-by-play. I enjoy it. Can't wait for the post-fight next Saturday. Can't wait for that one.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Salute to D-Style Boxing. I see him just creep up in there. He probably was listening, but just decided to write in the chat because he heard us say we getting ready to sign off. Ain't that right, D-Style? But, yeah, man. It's been a great show. We had a good night of boxing. It wasn't great. You know, that Lubin card, it was okay with Breedy and Tug. Their match kind of saved the night. And we got a chance to see Boots do his thing, which is always nice because he's got talent and he's got flash and flair. But he needs a new designer for his outfits. I must say that now. It's like, y'all don't get mad at Stormy because my taste in threads is a little bit different from what Boots wore in there tonight. I don't know what all that, what they call them ruffles, not ruffles, but the, I don't know, that stuff that was hanging off of him, man. No, just get a new designer. But no, he had a great performance. He stopped a guy had never been stopped before. It was great to see that. And yeah, just, you know, it was another showcase for him. Can't wait to see him again, you know, and keep them damn feet on the canvas. Don't be jumping off the floor. But yeah, man, it's been a great show. Post-fight show with Reggie. Reggie called good fight cards this evening, and I hope that everybody had a chance to see the fights, if not just listen. And thank you for tuning in. You know, it's always nice to see that the audiences are growing for our post-fight shows, and we enjoy doing it for you. So as long as you guys show up, we'll be here to do it for you. But this is Stormy B-Man for my brother Boxing Conversations with Reggie Owens. That's it for this evening, the post-fight show. This was Lubin versus GAUSHA on Showtime. So tune in next week when we'll have the Charlo brothers in their doubleheader for Showtime pay-per-view. Peace to everybody. Have a good evening. Enjoy the rest of the weekend.